This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by Faulkner University. Choosing where to go to college is a big decision, and Faulkner University is the right choice for many reasons. First and foremost, they're committed to biblical teaching. Each of their 85 outstanding academic programs infuse Christian principles into the curriculum and prepare students for professional success in their career and meaningful service in their community. Their main campus in Montgomery, Alabama offers an abundance of opportunities for internships, networking, and entertainment. Over 96% of their students receive financial aid, making Faulkner education a great value. Faulkner is a Christian university dedicated to helping you grow strong in your faith, and their family-like atmosphere will make you feel right at home. Check out faulkner.edu today.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. We are once again with our good friend Lonnie Jones, and we are thankful to have him here with us, allowing us to do another Ask Lonnie Jones Anything episode. And we mean anything. It has been interesting every single time, and we thank you guys for your questions that you send in. And so, Lonnie, we're gonna get right into it, and we're gonna ask you some more questions. So, okay. Travis, go ahead.
So, Lonnie, you here, like I said, we mentioned you involved in a lot of things. I was a professional counselor. You work with the SWAT team in Huntsville. You got your own podcast, which is amazing. And
he's an author.
Everybody,
he's an artist.
I mean, you just got your hand in a little bit of everything. And so I'm going to start off with one that we didn't give you a heads up on.
Okay,
so
all right.
Here we go. If you tell us your perfect day, you get 24 hours to do whatever you want to do with, whatever, and you can transport. So I want to be in Georgia, and I can snap my fingers, and I'm in Arkansas.
Going to talk about Georgia
anywhere.
Oh,
sorry. I figure there's some
some good things in
people in Georgia that you care
a
lot about. So
Well, I guess wake up and eat breakfast with Jackie, and then she and I and her dog Oreo, a little Spanish water dog, go on some kind of hiking adventure. We like to walk out in the woods together, and I spent more time in the woods with her and Oreo than I have been hunting this year. It's just been fun to be in nature with them. And then would probably transition next to climbing with Troy, and then would spend some time with the Minions, do something really cool with Gunner and Rowan. They like to come to town and climb in a climbing gym, and so we do that. And then I would probably get a workout in of some type, preferably maybe a jiu-jitsu thing, roll a couple of rounds, and then close the day out with getting on a bow fishing boat and shooting fish at night. That'd be the perfect day, I think.
Pretty good
Nice.
day. That's impressive. So if you were to somehow in that perfect day fit in a trip to the ice cream shop, what would be your most favorite ice cream that you would get?
Lime sherbet.
Lime sherbet.
I like lime.
It was simple and easy.
Yeah, pretty straight up.
That was a question sherbet that was sent in. What was your
One of my favorite ice cream memories is Rocky Road or Pralines and Cream, but lime sherbet is my favorite flavor to eat.
All right. Sounds good. That's a good one.
So as I mentioned, you do the ropes course, you do the counseling, you do all those things. What is your most common, in your counseling? What's the most common age group? Like, who do you deal with the most? And then maybe who do you prefer? Who do you like? Seems to be.
It's 50-50, dealing with married couples, age 35 to 45 range, and students. Gotcha. And I deal with a wide range of students. But my favorite demographic of people to hang out with is teenagers. I spent the vast majority of my adult life working specifically with teenagers as a youth and family minister. And so, I think I understand them. And when they come to my office, most of what they're going through is what's common to most teenagers: anxiety, stress, poor self-esteem, bad communication, deals with their parents, not understanding that mom and dad don't have to be your friend. They got to get you to heaven. And so I like, they're so creative. They're just cool. It makes you feel cool to hang out with them. And so I love teenagers.
So kind of spinning off of that a little bit, something that I just thought about. If you could, you've done, like we've already mentioned, you do a ton of stuff. You've done a lot of things through the years. So if money wasn't an option, if it didn't matter, if money had nothing to do with this answer, if you could choose, like, this is what I would do all the time. This is my favorite job or my favorite thing that I've ever done, that I've been a part of, and this is what I would spend the rest of my life doing if money wasn't, a factor in it. What would that be?
Probably teaching seminars.
Okay.
In some way, shape, or form. Either the interactive seminars like you and I do on the ropes course, or when we take our toys somewhere. But not the playing the games, but the actual debriefing of the seminars, or just standing up and talking and teaching. That's probably
like to teach.
Yeah. I like to teach more than anything else. A lot of my private practice, I call it didactic therapy, where I teach you. You come in the room, and regardless of what's going on, we're going to communicate about stuff that you may not know that I know is related to what you're dealing with.
Psychoeducation.
Psychoeducation is what it's what it's actually called. And before I knew that term, I called it didactic therapy, because didactic means to teach.
Yeah, very cool.
All right, so you mentioned, we've talked about the groups you like to work with. We talked about what Ben just said. Y'all used a bunch of big words that I think I tracked on. We got a question, and you do a ton of events. We've talked about where you work, like I said, with the SWAT team. You work with all these groups, but you are known for several events that people go to. I mean, those events just aren't those events. I don't know if you can call them that without Lonnie Jones present. And so we got the question: Exposure Youth Camp or Challenge Youth Conference? And I don't know if it's your preference but so there wasn't really a qualification of the question, so you can answer it however you want to. You can tell what you like about those.
So yeah, I don't think it's a comparison, because Challenge Youth Conference, CYC, is a conference, and it's heavily packed. It's one-stop shopping. You've got an ideal location, and then you've got, you can go in one weekend, hear Ben, Kyle, Reed, Chris, Ralph Gilmore, the singing with John Podine, and
Lonnie Jones,
and the stuff, SWAT and the stuff I'm involved in. But it's a conference, and then Exposure is a camp, and they've done some very intentional. Let's make it like a camp. So you go with your youth group, but then you get put on a team.
Yeah,
and so it's really, and I don't know how big they can get and still keep this format. But one is specifically, let's make this a camp type experience, and one is a more professional conference experience. And so I don't think you compare the two. I think they're two different things. They're not in competition with each other. And so, they're two of my favorite events for sure.
It kind of opens up the season. I kind of look at it for us. As far as Ben and Travis, it kind of opens up. We're there in Huntsville. It's a little closer to home. It's obviously, right near your hometown and where you're staying. And
it kind of closes out the actual year, but kicks off
the season where
stuff.
That's what I tell Jackie. I said, by the time I finish CYC, I don't know if I'm through or just beginning.
Yeah.
But, and I don't speak at Exposure every year. I may be in a class. I may do a panel discussion, or I may keynote. But, my role at CYC, I've been fortunate to keynote.
Yeah, they're both great events that you should check out. If you're over in Texas, they come to Dallas. That's where we're at now. We'd encourage you to be a part of that.
UIC's kind of a new thing for me. I've only been, I think, the last 2 years. I had never really done that, and I'm not that far from it. But it was a really cool experience the last couple of years. So I've been glad to be a part of it.
It's very well done, very well organized.
Yeah, absolutely.
They move people in, move people out. I think they had 2,600 people there this year at the South Hall of the Civic Center. And it just it's done really, really, really well.
I saw all those fish swimming outside the Civic Center.
Don't get me started on the fish outside the Civic Center.
What are you going to do in your retirement?
When I'm old enough to pass the I'm senile card, I'm going to go turn fish in the pond about once a month and let those young cops that I've worked with all my life do. Miss Jones, Miss Watkins, your dad's in the pond again. Yeah. Well, just get him out and take him home. But I'm going to be stacking carp on the bank with my bow, and the mayor's going to have to deal with me.
I thought about you as I was walking through there. I was like,
trust me, I thought about me before.
I got two more questions, Ben, unless you got one. We can saddle them if you want.
No,
if
go
you
ahead.
got another one.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, the one, previous episode, Volume 7, you answered what's your favorite thing about me, least favorite thing about me. So now we're going to flip it over to Ben. So what's your favorite thing about Ben? What's your least favorite thing about Ben?
So my favorite thing about Ben is his loyalty. That he chooses friendships and chooses to be an encourager or chooses to be a part of something, and he locks into it. You guys' relationship is legendary. Ben and Travis, and I see the stuff from pictures you guys being little kids and how y'all have stuck with each other through the years. And I
get
feel
rid of me
and I feel like I'm a secondary Travis Creasy. I feel like that Ben has adopted me and has hung on to me and has been a source of encouragement to me, over the years that I've known him. And that's my favorite part of Ben is his loyalty.
All right. Cool. We're going least. Is it the same one as mine?
Again, I really just don't have anything about Ben that I don't like.
Except for when I kind of prod you a little bit and put you in a mood.
Well, now Ben will poke the bear. Ben likes to see me in a mood, and they act like it's something terrible. I just get a little edgy when I'm in a mood. I don't act inappropriate. I'm just likely to put, Jesus flipped tables. I do have a flipping table switch.
I think Derek and I like to prod
that
bear.
They like to poke the bear.
Anybody.
And
I've not gotten to that level yet. I've not reached that courage level yet. Family devotional time. Fulfilling, organized, fun. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Moses' words in Deuteronomy 6:4-8 to the children of Israel in the speech that closed out not only his ministry, but also his life, can be overwhelming at times and make us as parents feel like we could be doing more to disciple our children. In the fast-paced life that we live, we're usually just happy if everyone makes it out the door with their shoes on the correct feet. Planning and executing a family devotional time can seem out of reach. We're here to help. The Helping Healing Humor podcast has a tool to help you plan, organize, and execute a fulfilling and fun family devotional time for every member of your family, from toddler to teen. As a member of the Ben and Travis Patreon community, you will have access to tons of content at a small price that will help you grow your spiritual life, disciple your family, or even lead a small group Bible study. Patreon membership fees will help our podcast continue to be better and support the cost of creating and publishing the content that our Helping Healing Humor community has enjoyed. Go to www.patreon.com/Ben and Travis to sign up. Hit the link in the show notes for this month's special offer. So my last question, and this is what we'll use to wrap up, and we'll let you go get some sleep before the SWAT performance tomorrow and everything else that comes.
Wonderful.
If you could pick, and we could do 2 or 3, and I'm going to say that you can't pick Jesus.
Okay, all right.
If you could pick 2, 3 human beings in the Bible that you could sit down and just go to dinner, you just pick their brain. You could ask them, kind of like what we're doing. You just
ask this character anything.
Ask this character anything. This person anything. And if you need more, you can do 4 or 5, whatever.
Oh man. And I could have it. They'd have to answer.
They have to answer it. Yeah, they have to answer it.
I'd say who would you take to Heart 8, but half those guys couldn't eat it.
Yeah, those guys. Well, actually, it may surprise you. I would take some of the Roman soldiers that were involved with Paul, and I'd want to find out, hey, what was this like to be with this guy that you didn't understand, but to learn who he was about, what he was about. Maybe Claudius Lysias, who helped arrest him or rescued him when he was in Jerusalem, or maybe even sit down with Festus and Agrippa and say, you're an expert in these matters. So that'd be an interesting conversation out of curiosity, not out of professional development, but just to sit down and talk to somebody to learn from, Paul or maybe Apollos. Would like to sit down. Paul would have been
good answer. Family Feud, good answer.
Paul had been incredibly educated with his background. He'd had his background in the Old Testament studies, and then his introduction to Christianity, and to have him go, this is everything in the Old Testament that points to the Messiah.
Oh man!
And I tried to ignore it. Could you imagine taking notes on that conversation? But yeah, I'd probably that, or maybe is it Caleb who said, "This is the hill country that I took with my sword and my bow." I'd like to have those memories.
It's a bad memory.
Yeah, like 80 years old or something.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, Travis, who's that for you? Who would you sit down with?
Oh well, I think Paul is. I mean,
I
gonna
think
have
everybody
to. I think Paul the Apostle. I'm going to roll with him. I think David. I think sitting down with that guy because people were drawn to him.
Yeah.
People of all walks of life. Even if he was an enemy at the time, or and I feel like that would be really neat to see the magnetism or whatever.
Yeah.
Those two guys obviously playing off of each other. And I think I would go Daniel. Like anybody who's and maybe Mary, but any of those folks who had a straight up conversation with an angel.
It's kind of hard to pass.
And I get to ask any question I want, and they have to answer it. Like I want to know what that was like.
That would have been pretty cool.
If I'm gonna add to those people, I love all of those, and I would probably love a conversation at a table with all those. I would probably add to that Benaiah. Killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day. Had some other pretty classic battles.
Yeah, that'd be
so if
pretty
I'm gonna
good
add him, I just want to go, hey, tell me about your battles. And so I'd probably want that one. Joshua would be an interesting one.
If you said theology, it's Paul.
Right.
If it's just curiosity, it's the Romans. If it's man stuff, it's David.
Yep.
And then if it's
some of his mighty men,
interesting stuff about like you look at the Magi.
Oh yeah.
And they probably have their information from Daniel.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
So depending on what I'm asking would be depending on who I'm get to talk to, I guess.
And I think my top one that nobody's mentioned that I would say I just want to sit down and talk about the relationship is John. I want to have a conversation with John. What was it like to be in that little inner circle with Jesus?
To see the first how long years of the church and see it grow.
Yeah.
And
he outlived most of those guys. So he saw. It's incredible. So that's probably where I go.
Good answer, family. Good
answer. Well, Lonnie, like always, we just cherish the time that we get to
hang out. I love hanging out with you guys.
Loading up in the van, 12 hours, coming out to Dallas and hanging out. Of course, we miss Derek and Lisa. They're not with us this weekend, but we're looking forward.
But they're doing a necessary thing.
Oh, they are. Absolutely. And we know they would be here if there was any other way possible. And we're looking forward to maybe a Skits with the Truth. Ask Skits with the Truth anything when we get together in Pigeon Forge.
If you'd like to throw
that
some,
would be
start throwing those
fun.
questions
So
in
if you
there.
got things you want to ask the drama troupe, ask us. That'd be cool.
Skits with the Truth. But
be
Lonnie, we'll let you get some rest, and we'll get fired up for the SWAT performance.
Looking forward to that.
Hey,
tomorrow.
I even noticed you posted something about how you're sponsoring was it the PFG?
Yeah, the Professional Grappling Federation.
That's awesome.
I've got a really neat opportunity to hang out with a bunch of guys that are professional grapplers, and the guy who organizes the commissioner of that league gives me access to those guys.
Sweet.
And
That's
so
cool.
I sponsored it with the Grappling with Life book, and then I'll sponsor it this year with my podcast. And I write them.
Great.
Brandon would talk about my podcast without money, but I pay a little bit of money and do a sponsorship to kind of promote this with those guys, and it's really neat.
I know those guys are blessed to know you because we're blessed to know you.
Listen,
And
you'd be some of these guys are predators, apex predators. PGF season 3. You need to watch. You just get on YouTube now. There's some language. These guys are fighters. These guys are cage dudes. They're this is a submission only grappling. This Elkins kid. There's 3 or 4 Elkins brothers. I don't know how many Elkins brothers there are, but he's wrestling.
It's always brothers.
He's doing jiu-jitsu. He's a wrestler too, but they brought wrestling into jiu-jitsu. This kid, they call him the truck, and I bet his thighs are that big around. He gets this guy in an omoplata, which is your shoulder goes under my leg and bends here. So I've got you, and then he slides his arm under him for a darce choke. So you got an omoplata inverted darce. Never seen one in my life. And this Randy Roden kid, beast out of it. It's listen.
Wow. I've not only never seen it, I don't know what he said. So
listen, so watch.
I'd like to see it. I don't want to see it done to me.
It's on YouTube, PGF. There's 3 seasons, and it's incredible. And I sponsor it, and a lot of neat dudes there.
It's not the
Good
same
stuff.
as TGIF that we used to watch
It's
back
Professional Grappling Federation, and it's top shelf predators trying to eat each other. It's good stuff.
Well, as we said on the last
Sounds
one,
fun.
listen to this podcast, hop on over, check out Lonnie's podcast, Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure, and we will see you next time, Lonnie.
Lord willing, yes, sir.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.